Hi there, everybody. Happy weekend, or at least the end of the weekend. It's still the weekend, though. It's region weather meteorologist Matt Wintz. Good to be with you guys on this Sunday evening. Hope your weekend was well. Certainly on the cold side, we kind of bounced out of it a little bit today with temperatures getting up into the upper 20s, low 30s, but we're falling back. We've got much colder air working in right now. There's an Arctic front with some gusty winds just off towards our west. So lot to talk about here in the forecast. We're going to talk about this first hit of cold air that's coming the next couple days. And then we're going to take it more long term because there are some just crazy cold coming our way in what is going to continue to be a relentless January, as we had been alluding to. A lot of people alluding to this, right? We could see it in the modeling for quite some time. But the end of January looks really cold. And we'll take you through those numbers as well. And then I also want to cover just kind of a fascinating thing that we cover this time of year, ice on the lakes, on the Great Lakes. Where do we stand in terms of Great Lake ice cover? What about Lake Michigan? And where is that ice? If you're, an ice fisherman, obviously Lake Michigan, not always the best place to do it, but there are spots you could certainly go to, area ponds, reservoirs, all that stuff. We've got a good forecast for all those that are into the ice fishing. All right, let's get through our sponsors while we let a couple other people join here. Then we'll get to our early birds, and then we'll get to the forecast. I want to thank all our sponsors. Keep the show for free. We'll start at the bottom of our list there. Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso. They have a whole new set of four-wheel drive Jeeps out there. The Wagoneer is beautiful. I don't know if you've seen this thing, but if you're looking for a new car, make it a Jeep and make it a four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, because you'll certainly need it here over the next couple of weeks, as we'll see here in a second. Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso, right there off US 30. All right, Kate Cusack, she has been our local mortgage net lender for all your home buying questions. She knows that even though it's cold and it's snowy now, you know what's right around the corner, spring. And spring is when the real estate market just awakens and it goes crazy once it starts to get warm outside. And she want to make sure that you're ready. If 2025 is your year to buy your dream home, or perhaps your first home, or perhaps you're looking for an upgrade, you're running out of space, Kate wants to be that one who helps you every step of the way, from getting you pre-approved ahead of time so that you are ready to hit that market running once your dream house comes out on the market. You want to be the first one to react and get in there. She'll help you do that. Call or text her anytime. It's 219-775-6645, or visit her on her Facebook page, which is Kate Cusack, Home Loan Girl, right on Facebook. She is amazing. All right, Minogue.life. What is Minogue.life, you ask? Well, with the new year, a lot of people have new Advantage plans. Some started with a phone call, and sadly, those people just may not have an idea of how many benefits they have or how to take advantage of their Advantage plan because they did it over the phone and no one explained it to them. Other times, people are surprised to find that their providers, their doctors, their hospitals, are out of network after going to them for a while. Things like that change. And Michael Minogue is happy to help people understand their coverage to feel if it's a good fit or not. He can analyze all that. He's been doing this for decades, and he can help you explore what options you have if you do need to make a change. You don't always need to make a change, but he'd be happy to sit down and talk to you about that. He does this in office with a no-cost review, so it's free to sit down with him. He'll go over all your plans, let you know what your benefits are. He just wants to help you out. He'll also ensure you take the best advantage of the plan that you have. All right. This is also a good time, the start of the new year, to check and update beneficiaries and life insurance. He does all of that. He is the man of many hats, Michael Minogue. The website is minogue.life. TigerPlumbing.net, place to go. Again, this is the kind of weather with this prolonged cold that you want to keep your cabinets open, especially during the coldest of cold nights, and let those faucets drip ever so slowly, especially in the areas that have those pipes on outlying walls, right? A lot of the pipes run through the house. Maybe you have an interior bathroom. Those should be okay, but the ones against those outside walls, it's crucial. If you do have a water main break or a water pipe that breaks and you have a mess, or if you have any plumbing problems, maybe you just need a new faucet installed for the new year, new shower head. Maybe it's not working as well. Tiger Plumbing is the place to go. Our local plumber, everyone loves them. TigerPlumbing.net. You can schedule on your phone. You can take a picture of the problem on your phone or video and send it to them. They come out for free, and they just do great work. TigerPlumbing.net. PSA, that's our public service adjusters. If you do have a water problem in your basement or in your bathroom or wherever it happens to be from this cold weather that we're going to continue to have, and you have to file an insurance claim for that, not fun. We've done it. It's a mess, right? Getting the fans in, getting everything dried up. before you go to your insurance company, go to publicserviceadjusting.com. These are all local licensed insured adjusters to Northwest Indiana. They're all moms and dads that work right here, and they're all wonderful people. And what they will do is they come out, they'll take pictures and videos, and they'll send everything to your insurance company for you. And what they do is they do all the heavy lifting. You don't have to do anything, the whole claim. They'll do all the back and forth, all the pictures. And what they do is get you more money than what your insurance company will get you. Even if you're a good negotiator, they can do it. And they've proved it. And there are 5-star reviews across the board. Why would you not use them? Publicserviceadjusting.com. Meals on Wheels of Northwest Indiana, they're still looking for drivers to volunteer some of your time to deliver meals and deliver smiles to those that need it here in the region. They work all in Northwest Indiana with our community. If you are interested in helping them to deliver meals, maybe volunteering some of your extra time and doing some good in the community, again, it's Meals on Wheels in Northwest Indiana. You can find them, or Facebook page is always tagged in there as well. And you want to contact Faith Evers. Faith Evers is the one, or just send them a message to get on the list. And again, it could be around your time, not their time. All right. Finally, last but not least, FBIbuildings.com, place to go. They are still doing construction even in the cold weather. They have built over 20,000 pole barns in Northwest Indiana and around the Midwest. And they do amazing work. So if you're looking for a new pole barn to be constructed, maybe a commercial building or maybe residential to store a bunch of equipment, whatever it happens to be, or you have an existing pole barn that needs fixed, that they didn't build, they'll come in and renovate it as well. They do amazing work. Again, check out their Facebook page. Some of these structures they build are just awesome, and they're modern, and they just look cool. And they're fun people too. FBIbuildings.com is the place to go. All right, let's dive into our early birds. Who we got here tonight? Mary is the first one on board. Hi, Mary. Hope you had a nice weekend. Ethan's on board as well. Hey, Ethan, thanks for joining us on our YouTube channel. Justin's with us tonight. Good evening to you, Justin. Jeff is with us. Hi, Jeff. Wendy, hello. Let's see. Hello from Lafayette. Hi. And we've got Sean and Steve's with us. Let's see. Darlene, Diana, Jill says how we all feel. Boo to the cold. I know. Mindy's with us on our YouTube channel. Susan, Vicky, Jay, Diane says, come on, February. That's awesome. Oh, not, and his Ladybug 12 is saying not what I was hoping before we go back to work. Susan, thanks for joining us. Gail, Ann's with us. Karen as well. All right, let's dive into the forecast. We could say hi all day. Phoebe's with us as well, and Susan's here too. All right, there's that. All right, so here's what we got, guys. The big picture setup, you can kind of see on the map here what's coming at us. Everything's coming at us from the northwest. Whenever, we've gone over this before, but whenever you see on the map, this is an infrared map. So what an infrared does, the satellite does, is it detects cold cloud tops. So in the summertime, you get these huge cumulonimbus clouds that go way up in the atmosphere, and the tops of the clouds get really cold, and you'll see those reds and the oranges on here from those huge explosive thunderstorms. Well, this time of year, we don't have like huge lift, and we don't have huge, cloud tops going up 50,000 feet or so. But what we do have is some really cold air, and the cold air right up here shows up as a cloud, and it's not. This is the Arctic air right here showing up as a cloud because it's so cold that the infrared satellite thinks it's a cloud, and it's not. Everything moving is cloud cover, and you can kind of see the trend where this cold air is coming our way. All right, that is my point. And so I know these numbers are real small. Don't worry about reading the numbers. I get it. What I want to show you here is right back here in Western Illinois. This is where the Arctic front is. Okay, this is the front of the Arctic air that is coming back into the region in the Great Lakes over the next couple of days. So we're sitting pretty. We made it into the mid-30s today. Not too bad, right? Had a little bit melting going on outside. Probably felt nice if you were out and about temperature-wise. We had some spit and snow, obviously. But now temperatures are starting to fall back, and we go from the upper 20s in northern Illinois to quickly into the teens and single digits as you get in areas of southern Minnesota and areas of Iowa as well, all right? So that cold air is coming. It will be here tomorrow morning. It's going to be markedly colder as you're heading out the door tomorrow morning for work and for school. So keep that in mind. Get that thick winter gear back because we're going to need it for much of the week. The other issue we have in between this, again, I mentioned we've been spitting snow, and we've got kind of this general area of just very, very light precip that's moving through right now. Some of it is freezing rain and freezing drizzle, more so freezing drizzle. And we've already seen that occurring. And temperatures now have gone from 33 a couple hours ago. We're down into the upper 20s now. And that's not good because we're still holding on to liquid, moisture in the atmosphere with some drizzle coming in, with some flurries mixed in at times. Depends on where you are. But a lot of us have some extremely slick spots out there, like your deck, your porch, your front steps, all of that. It is slick if you haven't been outside because we're not quite there yet with this cold air, and the atmosphere is not quite there yet in terms of being able to produce some snow. All right. I'm not expecting a lot of snow overnight. I think, again, it's going to start spitting snow a little bit later, but we're stuck in this period right now until this lift comes in where everything's just kind of stagnant in the atmosphere up above. And there was an inversion earlier. Either way, we have that freezing drizzle risk here this evening. So keep that in mind. If you are out and about, these slick spots will head over in eastern Indiana, eventually in Ohio tonight as well. So this is what I'm talking about. This right here, it really isn't doing much. All the lift is up off towards the north. And so we've got freezing drizzle mixed in with these flurries, okay? As we go through time tonight, winds are going to shift out of the northwest, and they're going to be strong. We're going to have gusts over 30 at times, but this is blowing in some really, really cold air. Lake effect's going to take its time getting going. So if you have travel plans early tomorrow out east, maybe you're heading to South Bend, it looks okay right now. That's the good news. The problem is once the lake effects once the cold air continues to come across the lake, and once that lake effect can finally start to establish itself, I do see by afternoon and evening some of this lake effect starting to build down into the South Bend area. All right. And this is probably going to take till late tomorrow evening and more so tomorrow night into Tuesday morning. Okay. So just keep that in mind if you're traveling. But locally here, just cold. I don't see a lot of snow for us here in the region out of this one, just cold air and wind coming in for your Monday, okay? I think it'll be spitting flurries every now and then, but overall, I don't expect a lot of snow. On into Monday night, as I mentioned, as that lake effect starts to come down, see this little wiggle in the isobars here? This is another little trough that's going to swing through. And what troughs do is they kind of just realign the winds. And so when a trough swings through the Great Lakes this time of year or any time in the wintertime, what it does is it realigns the lake effect, basically. So the lake effect will be going to Grand Rapids, Holland, Michigan, mainly off towards the north of South Bend. And then when this trough swings through, it'll kind of shift it around with the wind shift. And you can see what happens here. There's even a little bit of snow, perhaps, on the leading edge of that trough. This would move through Tuesday morning, midday, somewhere in there, okay? Maybe some brief snow. Again, not a big deal, but we could have some more snowflakes with that. I just want you to know if you are seeing snow Tuesday morning, it's just the trough swinging through, all right? And then after that moves through, you see how the lake effect is kind of a different orientation coming more out of the northwest. Now, keep in mind, our lakes are getting colder, right? We have some ice cover on some of the lakes as well. And what lake effect thrives off of, and this is why it's so prolific in the fall, like late fall, like, October, November, when we get cold air across the lakes, that lake water is so warm, and the lake water and the air above it, that temperature, that difference is really what drives how heavy the lake effect can be. So when we have 60-degree lake water and we have a 20-degree air mass coming over it, you got a 40-degree difference, right? And that can really spark instability and create tremendous lift, and you can get really heavy lake effect snow. This time of year, we start to slowly lose that ability to produce really heavy lake effect snow. You have to have really cold air to do it. And so now we've got lake waters, they range, but 30, 40 degrees or so. We're bringing in that same 20-degree air mass. Now we're talking a 20-degree difference. So that lake effect snow isn't quite as heavy this time of year unless the air coming over is really cold, and that makes that difference go way up again. So this air that's coming in is really cold, even aloft. So we ought to be able to produce some heavy lake effect snow and persistently in southwest lower Michigan. LaPorte County, I don't think you're going to get much out of this one even on into Tuesday. I think this is going to be more towards South Bend, especially into southwest lower Michigan. That's where the snow will be. But in terms of amounts, let me show you here what we're expecting. You can see some of these amounts. I mean, approaching a foot in Michigan. 3 to 6, I think, ought to do it through Wednesday from Grand Rapids down towards the Holland area, New Buffalo, a little bit less. And then you can see in our region, not much. I mean, there's just not a lot of snow from this here locally, all right? But it will be cold. All right, let's talk cold because this is the wow factor in terms of the forecast here. I want to show you this. The models have been picking up on a cold shot this week, right? It's been showing up in the model for a week and a half now. And they're latching on to the idea that we get an even colder shot of air next week. And we're talking around like 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, somewhere in there. Okay. So let's dive into kind of what this looks like. I'm going to go big picture first because that's the way I think is big picture. Here's a really cold air. All right. This is like the frigid stuff below zero, -20, -30, even in terms of air temperatures. Okay. That takes a shot at us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the cold morning, waking up Wednesday, by the way, probably be below zero in spots. But notice how that shot of cold air kind of heads off towards the east, right? So we'll start to moderate Thursday, Friday, into Saturday, but look what's coming at us. I mean, this one is a behemoth area of Arctic air straight out of the North Pole, polar vortex. It happens. It wobbles loose, and it certainly has been last couple of weeks in chunks around the globe. Well, this is a big chunk of it. And watch what happens. This is this Saturday. This is the 19th Sunday. I'm going to do this a little slower. This is Monday next week. Yikes. Tuesday, look at this cold air. And this cold air goes all the way down to the Gulf Coast, where areas of Florida are going to get down into the 20s. There's the potential for an ice storm in the Florida Panhandle, maybe heading over towards Jacksonville. Yeah, right? I mean, this is impressive. What's impressive about this, the cold's impressive anytime it happens, right? But it's also January, and this does happen in January, happens in February as well. But the real estate this thing takes up meteorologically, I don't know if I've ever seen such a giant air mass that is that cold coming into basically the entire eastern 3/4 of the country. From the Rockies east, it is going to be really cold. And these are all the areas below zero waking up next. This is not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after that morning, at least the potential for it. And we're not talking just below zero. I mean, there's spots that are -10, -20, even approaching -30 waking up on that morning. All right. So this is Wednesday, the 22nd, 23rd. This one's out of here. We're starting to recover, but look at this. We get another shot behind that right here of cold air that trails that. And then we head into the 25th, 26th. And there are signs that an even colder air mass strikes area of like New England. We would be on the fringe of that, so we wouldn't get the core of that, says the Euro. Again, this could all change, but that cold shot coming in 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, somewhere in that time range. That cold shot's pretty locked in right now in terms of the modeling, okay? A lot of things we can't talk about 10 to 15 days out. We can look at pattern recognition and look at storm systems to say, hey, we might have snowstorms during that time, or we might have clipper systems during that time. But we can't talk specifics on that because it's just not going to be true, right? Till we get closer. One of the things we can lock in on pretty well are temperature trends and air mass trends. Like I said, the air mass coming in with cold air the next couple of days, we picked up on that 12 days ago. All right. This air mass coming in mid-month like this. Let me go back to it. This one coming in right here. All right, we can lock in on this and say, okay, something really cold is coming our way. The exact degree to what we're going to be, too early to tell, but the potential's there for some really cold temperatures. Again, 20th, 21st is what the Euro says. There's some differences in the timing on the models, but just really incredible cold coming our way. So what does that mean in terms of numbers? I'm just showing you some numbers. Again, these aren't truth. These are just guesstimates, but this is what the models are putting back. And a lot of times your phone apps, as I mentioned, your phone apps just take these numbers and they grab them and they put them in there. Okay. There's not a meteorologist typing in numbers for your phone apps. That's why they're changing. These models get run, the major models get run usually 4 times a day. So your phone app will change its temperatures about 4 times a day as well. All right. So these are some of the numbers. If they match up with your phone exactly, it's because they're from the Euro. And so these are some of the numbers. I mean, 23 tomorrow, then we're down into the teens. I mean, like 11 for a high Tuesday, 15 Wednesday. Here's your recovery on Thursday, Friday into the weekend. And then boom, we get that secondary hit. Euro saying 1 right now, Monday and Tuesday, the 20th and 21st, lows -5 to -10. Again, that happens in the winter. I continue to pride ourselves in that we're a no hype forecast. All right. So I'm not going to hype this and say like, this is record breaking crazy. It's not. We do get that cold in the winter. But the real estate that this thing takes up, that's impressive, and that deserves some hype. But for us here locally, I mean, it's going to get bone-chilling cold around here and stay there. And this is after we've kind of been through it last couple of weeks, right? Or last week or so. I guess it'd be the last week and a half. Basically, since January 1st hit this year, it's been on the cold side. All right, so that's what we're looking at. Let me show you GFS real quick, just to kind of compare models. This is my first time looking at the GFS numbers. Same thing. I mean, we get cold here with cold hit. Recovery as we go into this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and then there's the cold. Not quite as cold on the GFS, which I can respect. The Euro tends to overdo cold in the extended. So, do things come up to these numbers? They certainly could, but we'll see. All right. Let's talk snow chances, and then we'll talk ice, and then we'll answer your questions and get you on your way here, okay? All right, so most of the snow with this system is off towards the north in terms of the Clipper. I mentioned we just get cold. The lake effect snow machine will be doing its thing, but not a lot of snow as we go throughout the week. Another Clipper comes in Thursday. That one stays east of us as well. I don't see that changing. I don't see much snow from that one either. And then on to the weekend, we start to warm up. Could we have some showers around here Friday, Saturday? We certainly could. These would be really cold showers. Most of it staying off towards the east, says the Euro. But we'd have temperatures in the mid to upper 30s with some rain. Yuck, right? But what this is doing this weekend, there's going to be that big trough with that super cold air diving into the country, right? So we developed this big trough across the nation's midsection. And what's different about this, the last couple cold hits have come over the Great Lakes and the eastern half of the country. This one is going to be diving into the central half of the country first before it comes east. And when it does so, that means we have this little bit of a ridge riding up through Tennessee and the Ohio Valley. That's the difference maker, because what that does is that opens up the Gulf of Mexico, right? These last couple systems we haven't really tapped into Gulf of Mexico moisture a whole lot. The last snowstorms they did down south, right? But we weren't able to tap into that specifically. And what this is going to do with that trough out towards the west, it's going to enable some snow storms to develop. And we talked about this last Sunday on Regional Weather Live, that we were going to lend ourselves towards more of a snowstorm pattern across the eastern half of the country over the middle and latter half of January. And it's because of that trough really carving down into Texas with that, ability to produce some of that lake effect moisture or Gulf of Mexico moisture off towards the east. So does that mean we're going to get a snowstorm? Not in the modeling right now, but it's been back and forth. A couple model runs ago, and I'll show you the GFS has a full-blown snowstorm over us. But that trend is there where we're really going to have to watch these systems closely. And the way this winter's going, and the way most winters go, that's how we get our snow. We have to get it from a snowstorm. Oftentimes, we'll get it from Clipper systems that come in and bring us 1 to 2 inches. The lake effect machine, sometimes if you have a north or northeast wind, can bring that heavier snow into the region. But most of the cold air has been coming with a northwest or even a west wind. So it's either been LaPorte County or mainly southwest lower Michigan with the lake effect. So I have a feeling we're going to have to get our snow this winter from these storms, but the potential's there. So I say all that to kind of advance the narrative here to the weekend. All right. So maybe a little bit of rain developing out ahead of us. But this is that trough. We're getting markedly colder by the hour as we go Saturday into Sunday. And all we need are waves to come along this trough. Here's where the trough is right now. So the first such wave the Euro has coming in on with the Arctic front, kind of meeting up with a little low pressure that tries to get going on the backside of a bigger low. This is next Saturday into Sunday. And the Euro, again, says we don't get a snowstorm out of it, but we get some snow and some wind and some bitter cold air that comes in on this. All right. That would kick off some lake effect snow. Trajectory right now may bring that into Porter and LaPorte County. We'll see. It would be brief, though, as things kind of sweep east and pull it up into Michigan. But that's next weekend. And then watch this. Another system. This is the one that brings a potential ice storm to Florida. This one's just too far south. The air is just too cold and too far south. Last couple winters, this system would probably bring us some real heavy snow, but that trough is just too far south. So this would bring just incredible snows to Birmingham, Atlanta. I mean, they just got some snow, but this would bring some real decent snow over towards the Carolinas and heading up into areas of Virginia, Mississippi, Louisiana would get heavy snow from this. I mean, this would be incredible if this happened. For us, we watched that one miss us down to the south. Little Clipper looks to come in here, maybe just after that, and then you can see pattern-wise. I mean, here's another potential. This is what we're watching. These big troughs, lots of Gulf of Mexico moisture, and you get that snowstorm that develops on the northwest side of that. This one, too, misses us, says the Euro. But again, these are flopping all over the place, especially once we get beyond like day 8, 9. The snowstorm recognition tends to flip-flop, all right, till we can kind of hone in on that. I do want to show you briefly the GFS, because this is just kind of how this goes in terms of the modeling, all right? And how much different it could be. So let's fast forward to this weekend. I mean, look what the GFS has this weekend. It doesn't develop this rain and this low further south and east. It develops right over us. So that brings, as I mentioned earlier, a snowstorm into areas of northern Indiana next weekend. All right. I tend to not lean GFS. That's the only thing. And I don't always lean full-fledged Euro, but this isn't really showing up in the other modeling. All right. And so we'll see which one adjusts. Sometimes the Euro can adjust, further north and match more the GFS, but more often than not, the GFS will match to kind of to say what the Euro is saying. But as of today, the 12Z, it brings a full-fledged, heavy snow through Northwest Indiana next weekend. There would be lake effect behind that. We already know there's bitterly cold air coming in behind that. Another Clipper system there. And then as we go through time, more Clipper systems. Then look at this. I mean, this is another big snowstorm we'd have to watch the 27th, 28th. Where does it go? Does it develop? Those are all questions. And I'll show you the gem real quick. I just want to see what the gem's saying in terms of next weekend. So there, look at this. This is the gem model. Doesn't even develop a snowstorm. Develops a little bit of snow, but really doesn't do much with that system and does a little bit more with the next one. I don't like the way the gem looks. That just looks weird to me. There has to be a low somewhere. You can't have this big blob of floating moisture. So we'll disregard that. Okay. So that's what I've got for you in terms of all the forecasts in terms of snow. Let's briefly talk Great Lakes ice cover. It's below average right now, but boy, we're catching up quickly. This red line, here are your months. The red line is where it typically is, all right? All these blue lines are where it's been, all right? We've had some really cold winters. We've had some winters where it hasn't done much, including last couple of years. And you can see we're starting to catch up. Great Lakes about, 8, 9, 10, maybe 11% ice cover right now. In terms of Lake Michigan, this is where we stand. We're not too far below average. We're sitting at about 8%. Should be right around, 11, 12%. I'm just guesstimating looking at this. I can look up exact numbers, but you get the idea. We're a little bit below average. And in terms of Great Lakes, here's a picture of them. Once this blue is open water, okay, so most of Lake Michigan's open water. It's deep, of course. But the areas in gray, that's where we're starting to see some ice cover. And you notice it's right along the shoreline. So, if you go up to the dunes, wind has to be out of the northwest or north, but you'll see some ice flows, close by to the shore. That's just basically a big puddle of water known as Lake Michigan, starting to freeze around the edges. All right, that's where it happens. Lake St. Clair is frozen over. Lake Erie is usually the first to go because it's the most shallow, and they've developed pretty good ice in the western basin and along the lake shore. And you can see, Superior's open, it's deep, but there are some icing in some of those inlets, and same thing with Huron as well. So as these Great Lakes start to kind of ice over a little bit more, as that open water starts to shrink, even by a couple square miles, whatever it is, that does start to limit lake effect snow chances across the Great Lakes, okay? Because you don't have as much evaporation. It doesn't shut it off completely. A lot of people think it shuts it off completely. It does not. You still get evaporation through the ice, but it's a lot less, and you don't typically have robust lake effect events, okay? So that's what we've got. That's all I have for you. That was a lot. I know. I appreciate you sticking with me and taking all that in. Hopefully it's helpful. Again, that's always my goal, is that it can be helpful. And in terms of questions, go ahead and throw them in there. We'd be happy to get them answered for you. Okay. All right. Let's see what we've got. I don't know where to start here. Yep. Vicky says, as much as I hate snow, it was very pretty coming down in Lowell today. Very good. Yeah. Awesome. Let me see. Ethan says, could the late month pattern support winter storms? Yes, Ethan, we talked about that for sure. Yes. Still winter, Pearl, for sure. Let's see. No, when we're starting. Valpo. Let's see. How does anyone know when you're starting? Oh, I never guessed right. Oh, so Valpo. It goes with our family schedule, which is I don't even know when I'm going to start these broadcasts. It's Sunday evening sometime. I hope I don't even know if that's what you're talking about, if that's it. But we've got 4 kids of our own. And they have different schedules in terms of bath time and all the stuff we have to do on Sundays. So I fit this in right before bedtime because I've got to do the morning show. So I'm up 2 a.m., which is a lot of fun. So we fit this in right before bedtime once the kids are all settled. So my wife does the heavy lifting on Sunday evening. So that's that. All right. Let's see. Unknown on Facebook. I don't have your name on here. You might have it. It's just not showing up my thing. Yeah, I can show you Texas area for sure. Yeah, let's zoom out a little bit. And you're probably looking for, just kind of a long range look at what the Euro's looking at. I get it. So let's zoom out. So I'm going to show you this view if that's okay. Here's Indiana still for reference, and here's down in Texas. So let's fast forward. So this is what the Euro is saying for the Texas area. I know you're starting to say goodbye to the snow since that snowstorm down in the Dallas area over the weekend. A little bit of rain with some kind of system coming in Thursday, and then just some rain, and then the cold air doesn't come in till really Saturday into Saturday night is when the cold air starts to infiltrate from north to south. That's that Arctic blast we were talking about. But you can see in terms of systems, that ice storm that's projected for Florida right now, again, in the modeling at least, would bring some pretty heavy snow to areas of Texas as well. This one would get a lot further south than the last one. So instead of Dallas, we're talking now Austin. Houston may have some ice with this, which would be really rare event for them. And that ice would head over towards areas like New Orleans with some ice, snow for Baton Rouge. We would have an ice storm in Florida. We'll see if this holds. I mean, this is advanced, right? This is a week. This is over a week out. Okay. But we do know that Arctic air is coming in. And from experience, what I do know is that tends to spin up storm systems, right? So if this trough can dive far enough out towards the west and tap into that Gulf of Mexico moisture and bring it into Texas, that would be quite the storm system for areas of Texas and the deep south. And I mean deep south, like I-10, all right, would be impacted by ice and maybe some snow, which would be really incredible. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, Tyler wondering what February will bring. Me too, Tyler. We got a long January to get through first, but yeah, I am too. You know, it's funny. My one of my kids asked me today, they're like, Dad, when's it going to warm up? And these are the same kids that in the summer are asking me like when it's going to snow. They're like, I can't wait for winter. And I get it. But he asked me when it was going to warm up. And I said, well, you know, February, sometimes we can get a couple warm days here and there. We've had 70s in February before, a day or two, you know, upper 60s sometimes. And, you know, I'm just looking at the modeling. I'm just like, oh, I don't know if this year's the year for that, but we'll see. You know, again, we'll see what happens out of this. Debbie asks, Debbie, great question. Will we see any smoke from the LA wildfires? Debbie, I have not checked on that. Now, what I did check on when they initially began was that the smoke from those, I was checking on the smoke from those fires. I haven't checked on it recently. We can look at that. I've got the product for that. But in terms of smoke from those fires, they're widespread, right, in California. But they're not like the ones in Canada, where a lot of Canada is just forests, right? And that stuff just burns and puts up smoke. And those Canadian and some of the Western wildfires are really, really big and put up a lot of smoke. The ones down in Southern California, they're putting out smoke, but not as much as like some of those big fires where we really get affected by it in the summer months. But let's dive in. I can show you that. I'm going to go US mode here so we can kind of see the country as a whole. And where is it here? I think it's under this one. Yeah, wildfire smoke. Here you go. All right, so let's dive in. So you can see here's the smoke pushing out. They've still got the Santa Ana winds out there. You see what I'm saying? There's not a lot of smoke from this versus some of these huge fires that burn in Canada. Yeah, so no smoke off of that, Debbie. Great call. And there wasn't when I first checked, but I just wanted to make sure. Man, it just has it blown all around there. Just poor air. I mean, my heart goes out to those folks. I cannot imagine what it is like to be going through that right now. Caitlin says Peyton is on board. Peyton, hello. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate that. Hope you learned some weather stuff here today. This is awesome that some of your kids listen. This is so cool. But anyway, and that reminds me, I've got a school visit bright and early tomorrow after work. I'm so excited. I haven't done a school visit in a while. And I get to do several coming up, and that's just the best part of the job is just visiting the kids in schools. So there's that. You're welcome, Valpo. For sure. Let's see. Ethan asks, could February be an early start to severe storm season? Ethan, it certainly could. And it often is, but it usually starts, down in the deep south where they get severe weather. But my goodness, if this cold air keeps up, there is going to be not a severe weather chance in there the rest of January because they're talking snow and ice down there. So we'll see. Orlando weather, 16th through 20th. Yes, we've got your Orlando trip, Ethan. Let's get down into the southeastern United States and analyze that weather for your trip. Let's go back to this. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you said 16th through the 20th. All right, let's get it to you. Here's the 16th when you're flying in. Not a big deal. Maybe a shower. Weak frontal boundary going through. 17th looks good. 18th looks good. Not so good on the 19th, Ethan. Might have some severe weather in Florida. Seriously. And that would be going through Orlando area like early on Sunday morning. and then that front goes through. So the only thing, Ethan, you have to get through is a frontal boundary. It's the same one that is on the leading edge of some of that colder air coming in. So some storms towards the end of your trip. That may be fun, Ethan, flying back over. You'll get to fly over that cumulonimbus field. That could be cool for sure. Jeff says he needs to move to Wyoming to get a snowstorm. Jeff, or you can move to the Florida Panhandle, the way it's looking right now. And what I'm alluding to is this right here. Look at the modeling on this. I would imagine this is going to shift north a bit, but either way, this has the potential to be a really historic storm with, I mean, just incredible icing in Florida Panhandle. And then you get heavy snow in central Georgia. This was my last market down here in Columbus, and we didn't have snow any of the years that I spent down there. Kids wanted it, but there's that. Yeah, Debbie, for sure. It's a combination, not just the Santa Ana winds, which I did an explainer on that. I should have shared that on the region weather page, but I did it for my day job. I did an explainer on the Santa Ana winds, and it's not just Santa Ana winds. So what the Santa Ana winds are, just quick reference, is when the wind, there's a high pressure off towards the north, like in Montana somewhere, and there's typically low pressure down towards Texas or somewhere like that. Basically, that brings the wind into California. We're talking Southern Cal. It brings the wind in from the east, okay? Odd direction. If we had an east wind, it'd be kind of weird. Sometimes we do. It depends on where the low is. But same thing for them. It brings a wind in from the east, okay? When the wind comes in from the east, it's coming in from the mountains, and you get that sinking effect. So the wind is coming down the mountains. When wind comes down mountains, it compresses that and warms it. That's a warming wind. And what it does is it warms and dries out that air mass. So you already have warm, dry air because the wind is coming out of the mountains. And then it goes over the Mojave Desert and picks up more warmth and dry air. All right. So now you've got warm, bone dry air coming into California. And it doesn't take much to really ramp those winds up because you have a lot of canyons out there. You've got a lot of big mountains and there's canyons in between them. And I mean, you guys have been to Chicago, or even, in one of our local towns, you go between two buildings when it's windy, that air funnels through that and can really, really be strong. And so that's what happens out in California. It comes through those canyons, and we had, gusts 90, 100 mile per hour winds. Okay, so we've got that, but the other factor is it's been so dry. All right, all these storm systems that we're getting in the eastern half of the country, when we have cold air, are coming out of the northwest. For them to come at us from the northwest out here, they have to go up and over in the western U.S. That's where the ridge is. So they've had a ridge almost all winter out there. We've had the trough of the cold air for much of January. And when they have a ridge out west, there's no storm system going into Southern California or even California. Last couple of years, they've been hit by storm system after storm system, but this year it has been bone dry out there. So long story short, those two things combined, that really dry, warm air coming in with the Santa Ana winds, and the fact that it's been bone dry out there precip wise, it doesn't take much. I mean, a little spark and we've got big problems out there, especially with 100 mile per hour winds, which they had. Not seeing that now, but still just unbelievable how it's been. Caitlin says, can you quickly show Southeast Kansas? Have family there. Recently got a lot of snow. Can you expect more? Yeah, let's look at it. So Southeastern Kansas is right here, so I don't have to change maps, Caitlin. So for Southeast Kansas, they're actually dry till Friday, maybe a shower. It looks like most of it's east of them. And then they get cold air with perhaps some snow, not a big snow for them. In terms of storm systems, this is the one they'll have to watch. This storm system and this is the 20th and 21st, so not this Monday, Tuesday, the following one, okay? Kansas, in my mind, would be kind of a sweet spot for this. I know it shows dry right now, but I would imagine this is going to correct a little bit further north and west and not be along the Gulf Coast. And that would bring Kansas into play. So another week, a week or so, Caitlin, they may be dealing with some snow. Have them keep an eye on this storm system here, okay? I know it's far away now, and the distance that the storm system is from them is far away, but I would keep an eye on the modeling because I have a feeling this is going to correct a little bit further north and west for them. So we'll see. All right. Terry says, what did I miss? Are we getting a lot of snow, Terry? We're not. It's just going to get really cold around here, Terry. These are some of the numbers coming in. And again, these are on the mild side. This is the Euro look at numbers here. Let me get to the 12Z. I mean, these are our high temperatures, right? 20s tomorrow, teens Tuesday, Wednesday. We moderate into the weekend, and then the air mass coming in is just crazy cold, the 20th through the 24th, as it looks right now. That's my favorite phrase. I always say that. So there's that. Yeah, Sean, these winter storms are hitting this out. There haven't been a lot of winter storms so far. We've been kind of absent from the winter storms this year. I think we've had 3. All right, we usually have more by now. But as we go into February, March, those are the big winter storm months when you start to play with warm air. So despite that, you're right. They've been hitting the south, and the reason why is because the air has been too cold for us. The winter storms go where that dividing line is, wherever that boundary is between where the cold air stops and where the warm air comes into, right? So if we're right on that edge or right on that line where our temperatures are like 20s, 30s, 40s, somewhere in there, and going back and forth, that's the place to be in terms of if you want a snowstorm, you want to be just north of where that line is. But this air has been so cold, it's been going all the way down to the south. So that boundary line, that battle zone has been a lot further south for us. So that's why we've had these storm systems that just haven't done much locally because we've just been too cold on it. So we'll see again as we go over the next couple weeks. That does change, Sean. There are some shots of cold air for sure, but that boundary is going to be a little bit closer to us. So that puts us more in play for the snowstorm potential. And the pattern is going to be more conducive to that as well. So we'll see where we go. Jeff, you're welcome, buddy. No problem. Ethan, you're welcome. Have a wonderful trip. Be safe. All right. Hopefully, I mean, you're going to have fun. Hopefully you're going to have fun. Of course you're going to have fun. It's going to be great. Mark, us contractors want to know what's what. Mark, if you asked the question, I didn't see it though. I don't know. Did you? I don't think you did. But yes, I know you guys rely on the forecast for sure. So that's good. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go if that's okay. I've got a bedtime, and here comes a cat. You guys want to see the sweetest cat in the world? Come here. Oh, come here, baby. Oh, I know. Oh, this is Pip. So Pip is a rescue cat, and our local county folks got a call, or no, they were going to a call, and what happened? Oh yeah, they went by a cat that was in a puddle in the middle of January in the road. And so right after their call, they went to get this cat, and it was the sweetest cat. And they brought him in. And anyway, long story short, we adopted him. He was a little kitten, and he was malnourished, and he was a couple weeks old. And we actually got to meet the EMS workers that saved him, and we all got together and took pictures, which is so cool. But anyway, I have never had a cat. I'm not really. I'm not much of a cat person. Like I'll tolerate cats. My wife has always had cats. Our cats right now are just awesome. Anyway, my point with him, he loves to be held, and he just loves to be held. And he purrs, and he'll fall asleep in your arms, and he's just such a happy cat all the time. And I think he loves to be held because of the people that saved him. I mean, they were holding him, keeping him warm. Anyway, I know you're a little bit off camera, buddy, but he is just so sweet. And he's so good with the kids, and he's just a sweet boy. This is Pip. So anyway, Terry has rescues as well. Susan, thank you. Linda, rescues really are the best, huh? You want to say hi? Are you falling asleep? He's just so sweet. Okay, well, I'll let you guys go. Enough of this cat talk. I'll go put Pip to bed. All right. Thank you guys for joining me. Here, I'll put you down, buddy. Thanks for joining me. Again, regionweather.com. You can sign up for the daily emails. I'll be working on one tomorrow morning. Keep you updated all week. XRock 1039, Indiana 1055, Z107.1. You can find our forecasts for region weather all day, every day on all those stations. And also Lakeshore Radio, my old employer, Lakeshore Public Television. They've got the radio station going, and we do the forecast for them too. So if you guys are in the office, flip it on one of those stations. We've got your forecasts all day long. Okay. Thanks for spending time with me on this Sunday evening. I do appreciate it. All right. We'll get you through the week and through the cold. All right. Stay strong.